Hello students, now we will read chapter 4 Economic Development of History subject class 9th Maharashtra board. So now let's start. We are going to study India's economic policy in this chapter. That includes a study of the mixed economy, 5-year plans and their successes and failures, nationalization of banks, 20-point program, mill workers strike and especially the new economic policy of 1991. Mixed economy. Brainstorming about the kind of economy we would adopt after independence started much before India got independence. Our Prime Minister Pandit Nehru adopted the middle path rather than taking recourse to any extremes. Some countries had adopted capitalism while some had adopted socialism. Each type of economy had its own advantages. In the capitalist system, the means of production are privately owned. In a socialist economy, the means of production are owned by the state in the name of society. The mixed economy works both in the private and the public sector. In order to achieve economic development of the of modern India, we gave preference to a model of mixed economy. We can see three parts in this kind of economy. Public sector. The industries in this sector are completely under the control and management of the government. For example, production of defense equipment. Private sector. The industries in this sector are owned by private industrialists. Of course, the government supervises and controls them too. For example, consumer goods. Joint sector. In this sector, some industries are owned by private industries while some are under government management. For mixed economy to run smoothly, there is a need for coordination between the private sector and the public sector. This system aims at maximization of production and popular participation on a large scale. An effort has been made in this system to bring together the good aspects of both the capitalist and the socialist systems. A mixed economy cannot ignore the profit motive, entrepreneurship, discipline, time bound planning, etc. The mixed economy also naturally tends to give priority to national interest. Long term development is stressed upon with priority. The industries like defense, scientific research, education, roads, railways, waterways, seaport, and airport development require huge capital investment, but the returns in these areas are delayed. Not many private industrialists are keen to invest in these areas. In such a situation, the government has to take the initiative. Thus, India adopted the mixed economy model and 5-year plans and started off on its path of development. The industrial policy of 1973 increased the speed of development. Priority was given in this policy to control the influence of heavy industries, industrial families, and foreign industries and remove the imbalance in regional development. The government focused on the development of small scale industries and cottage industries. Government also started paying more attention to the cooperative sector. 5-year plans. The colonial power had exploited India economically. The country faced severe problems like poverty, unemployment, population growth, low standards of living, low productivity of agriculture and industries, and backwardness in the fields of knowledge, science, and technology. Planning was essential to solve these problems. India established the Planning Commission in 1950 with Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru as its chairman. It formulated India's 5 year plans that include rural and agricultural development, balanced industrialization, provision for a minimum standard of living and economic development constituent with democratic ideals. It focused on people participation and individual development in the formulation and implementation of the 5 year plans. Fundamental principle of planning. A general principle of planning is the proportionate distribution of the resources of a country and the appropriate use of the human resources to fulfill the needs of the people. Goals of plans. The general goals of the economic planning of India are as follows. First, increase in the national income. 2. Bring about rapid industrialization by focusing on the basic industries. 3. Bring about an increase in agricultural production so that the country becomes self sufficient in food grain production. Fourth, use the human resource in the country optimally by making increasing employment opportunities available. 5. Remove the inequality in earnings and wealth. Fifth, maintain stable prices of commodities. Seventh, bring the growth in population under control by family planning. 8. Improve the standards of living by eradicating poverty. 9. Develop social services. 10. Make the economy self sufficient. First 5 year plan 1951 to 56. The expenditure in this plan was primarily on agriculture, social development, irrigation and flood control, sources of energy, rural and small industries, heavy industries and minerals, transport and communication, education and health. This plan consisted of measures to lay the foundations of planned economic development. Second 5 year plan 1956 to 61. This plan had ambitious goals of industrialization, iron and steel industries at Durgapur, Bhilai and Rourkela, chemical factories plant at Sindri, rail engine factory at Chitranjan, factory of railway bogies at Perambar, shipbuilding factory at Vishakhapatnam, and other heavy industries were set up in the public sector. Huge dams like Bhakra Nangal, Damodar, etc. were built to make water available for agriculture. It led to increase in the national income. Bhilai steel plant photograph. Third 5 year plan 1961 to 1966. This plan was aimed at bringing about a balance in and industries and agriculture. The other goals of the plan included increase in national income, heavy industries, development in transport and uh, mineral industry, alleviation of poverty, and to expand the opportunities for employment. After the third 5 year plan, three 1 year plans were implemented 1966 to 1969. This was a period of intense famine due to the invasion by China and war with Pakistan. The government had to focus on defense rather than development related activities. Also, the famine required the government to undertake measures to tackle the effects of famine. All these issues stressed the Indian economy greatly. Fourth 5 year plan 1969 to 1974. The intentions behind setting the goals of this plan were that India should become self reliant, government should develop the basic boundaries, increase the speed of economic development and pay attention to establish a socialistic pattern of society. 14 major banks in the country were nationalized. This plan did not succeed as expected. The economy had to bear the burden of the Bangladesh war. The expenditure over the refugees had to be borne as well. The Indian economy suffered due to the pay rise of government and railway servants and rise in the prices of petrol in the international markets. Fifth five-year plan 1974 to 79. This plan was designed with the goal of making India economy self-sufficient by alleviating poverty. The objectives of the fifth plan were as follows: increase the national income, make large-scale employment available, supply education, nutritious food, and drinking water to make facilities of medical treatment available in rural areas, to supply electricity and means of communication, implemented social welfare schemes on a wide scale, bring about the development of agriculture, increase the basic industries, purchase food grains and other life sustaining foods by monopoly purchase, and make them available to the poor at reasonable prices through the public distribution system. During the fifth plan, it was not possible to achieve the goals of removal of poverty and increase in employment. In 1977 general elections, the Congress party was defeated. The Janata Party came to power. The new government ended the fifth plan towards the end of March 1978 and started rolling plan from 1978, but it failed. In 1980 general elections were held for Lok Sabha. The Congress party came to power. The Congress government closed the system to the rolling plan and again started planning like before. Sixth five-year plan 1980 to 85. This plan also stressed upon alleviation of poverty and unemployment generation. This plan had the following objectives: significantly increase the growth rate in the economy, reduce the rate of poverty and unemployment, shape and implement a population policy so that people adopted the small family norm voluntarily and thus keep the population under control. The following programs were implemented in the sixth five-year plan: Integrated Rural Development Program, Rural Landless Employment Guarantee Program (RLEGP), National Rural Employment Program (NREP), Salem Steel Plant. Seventh Five-Year Plan 1985 to 1990. This plan laid stress on food, employment and productivity. The objectives of the plan included development, modernization, self-reliance, social justice, improving the techniques of production to achieve an yearly increase in national income of 5% and increase food grain production. The following programs were started in this plan: Jawahar Rozgar Yojana, India Awas Yojana, scheme of 10 lakh wells. The seventh plan proved to be important from the point of view of employment generation. Eighth five-year plan 1992 to 1997. This plan gave a lot of scope to the private sector. The plan had the following features: to, main, to maintain the rate of growth in national income at 6.5%, to control the growth of population, to encourage the program of family planning, to remove illiteracy by expansion of primary education. The following programs were started during this plan: प्रधानमंत्री रोजगार योजना, महिला समृद्धि योजना, राष्ट्रीय सामाजिक आर्थिक सहाय सहाया योजना, मिड डे मील स्कीम, इंदिरा Mahila scheme, Ganga Kalyan scheme. During the eighth plan, the importance of the private sector grew. This plan is a reflection of the liberalization and free market policy adopted in 1991. Ninth Five-Year Plan, 1997 to 2002. This plan focused on agriculture and rural development. The objectives of this plan were to increase the rate of growth of the economy, create healthy competition in the infrastructure sector, give a new direction to industrial policy for ensuring foreign investment. The following schemes were started during this plan: Swarna Jayanti Shahri Rozgar Yojana, Bhagyashree Child Welfare Policy, Rajrajshri Rajrajeshwari Mahila Kalyan Yojana, स्वर्ण जयंती ग्राम स्वरोजगार योजना, जवाहर ग्राम समृद्धि योजना, अंत्योदय अन्न योजना, प्रधानमंत्री ग्राम सड़क योजना, etc. In this plan, the progress of communication system and service sector was achieved as per the expectations. There was a growth in the fields of construction and communication. Nationalization of banks. During the tenure of Prime Ministers Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Lal Bahadur Shastri, banking was a monopoly of the private sector. These banks represented different industrial groups. The directors of these banks were working towards developing industrial sector and increasing its profits. In order to stop this, the government nationalized the Imperial Bank in 1955 and it got converted into State Bank of India. This bank opened several branches all over the country in a short while and played a major role in development. Backward of nationalization. India had adopted a mixed economy after independence. Nationalization of banks was essential to cover the deficits if they occurred while implementing different schemes. Also, the profits of these banks would come into the government treasury once they were nationalized. See this. Do you know Prime Minister Indira Gandhi nationalized 14 banks on 19th July 1969. These include Allahabad Bank, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, Canara Bank, Central Bank of India, Dena Bank, Indian Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, Punjab National Bank, Syndicate Bank, United Bank of India, United Commercial Bank, UCO Bank, Union Bank of India. In 1986, more banks were nationalized. Along with this, the policy of developing small industries and pharmaceutical industries had to be implemented. Lal Bahadur Shastri undertook the experiment of the Green Revolution in order to overcome food shortages and drought. During the tenure of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, Congress Forum of Socialist Action, a group in the Congress party inspired by socialist ideas, made a demand for nationalization of commercial banks. Even the Communist Party supported this demand. 20-point program. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi announced the 20-point program on 1st July 1975 and resolved to make efforts towards rapidly becoming a developed nation. The main provisions of the 20-point program are as follows. First, land ceiling for cities and agricultural land, equal division of wealth, minimum wages for workers, increase in water conservation schemes. Second, workers' participation in industry, national training schemes, freeing bonded labor. Third, prevention of tax evasion, economic crimes, and smuggling. Fourth, regulation of prices of basic necessities, improvements in the public distribution system. Fifth, improvement in the textile industry by developing handloom sector, weaving looms for weaker sections, housing communication facilities, making educational equipment available to schools. Issues of workers. The first textile mill was started in Mumbai on 11 July 1851 by Kawasji Dawar. Eventually, mills started in Dadar, Paral, Bhaikhala, Shivdi, Prabhadevi, and Worli. This part came to be known as Girangaon or town of mills. This is a photograph of textile mill. This we can say a picture of textile mill. In the 1980s, the increasing unrest among workers was due to the economic conditions in other sectors. In some industries, the wages of the workers were increasing. They were also getting more amounts as bonus. They were getting more facilities than the textile mill workers. Do you know Mahatma Jyotirao Phule's associate Narayan Meghaji Lokhande's efforts resulted in the weekly Sunday holiday for mill workers from 1st January 1982. In the Diwali of 1981, the workers expected to get a bonus of 20%. The Rashtriya Mill Mazdoor Sangh, which was negotiating with the employees, agreed upon 8 to 17% bonus without taking the workers into confidence. The cut in the bonus proved to be the cause of unrest. Some workers went to Dr. Datta Samant. They asked him to accept their leadership. Workers of 65 mills came together and Dr. Datta Samant led the strike. On 18th January 1982, 2.5 lakh workers went on a strike. Girangaon mills stopped running, making it seems like Mumbai's heart stopped throbbing. Do you know the working class has contributed culturally as well through folk theatre, folk art, and literature? Anna Bhau Sathe, Shahir Amar Sheikh, Shahir Sable were popular for their programs aimed at public education. Poets like Narayan Surve, Namdev, Dasal, etc. portrayed the real life of the workers through their poems. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Barrister A.R. Antule, set up a committee to solve this issue. Later, Baba Saheb Bhosle became the Chief Minister of Maharashtra state. He insisted that, as per law, he would talk only with the Rashtriya Mil Mazdoor Sangh. Dr. Datta Samant demanded that the law be revoked. In the beginning, the striking workers received help from their native villages. It was also not very difficult for them to help each other. They set up departmental committees and distributed food grains, assistance in the form of funds, etc. The left parties had supported the strike. As the strike dragged on, efforts were made to split the striking workers' ranks. Even as the strike completed 6 months, the central government completely ignored it. The workers started a jail baro agitation. In September 1982, 1.5 lakh workers took a march on the Legislative Assembly of Maharashtra state. It didn't help at all. The strike completed a year. This was the first strike to have gone on for a year. In this period, about 1.5 lakh workers became unemployed. As polyester had come into greater demand than cotton cloth, the scale of mill cloth had already got affected. The mills moved from Mumbai to Surat in Gujarat. The central government nationalized 13 textile mills, appointed appointment of arbitrators did not help to resolve the issue. New economic policy. The year 1991 is very important in the history of modern India. After the 10th general elections, P.V. Narasimha Rao became the Prime Minister of India. With Dr. Manmohan Singh as Finance Minister, he adopted the new economic policy of linking India's economy with the global economy. For this, fundamental changes were brought about in the Indian economy. Indian economy was brought in tune with the global mainstream. During this period, Indian economy was in a crisis situation. Before the P.V. Narasimha Rao government took charge, Chandrasekhar was the Prime Minister. During this tenure, the rate of inflation was 17%. Economic growth rate had gone down by 1.1%. India had foreign exchange reserves only enough to last for imports for a week. It had become difficult to pay back its loan and even give the interest on it. In May 1991, the government had tried to control the situation by selling some of its gold reserves and by mortgaging some. Before Chandrasekhar government, the VP Singh government had incurred a liability of over 10,000 crore rupees on economy. By waiving off the loans of all farmers, the portion of internal loans of central and state government together to the gross domestic product was 55%. In 1980 to 81, foreign loan was 2,350 crore dollars. It increased to 8,380 crore dollars in 1990-91. At this time, India had foreign exchange reserves of only 100 crore dollars. This also had the background of the increased oil prices due to the invasion of Kuwait by Iraq. It became difficult for India to raise a loan. Even the non-resident Indians started withdrawing their deposits in foreign currency from India. Remedies. P.V. Narasimha Rao appointed Dr. Manmohan Singh as finance minister in order to find a way out of this situation. Dr. Singh undertook many corrective measures. The situation began to change. This is the photograph of Dr. Manmohan Singh. He removed the restrictions on foreign investments. He restricted the license system to 18 industries. In view of the increasing losses in the public sector industries, he opened up the public sector for investment by private industries. In order to bring the share market under control, he established the Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, in 1992. National Stock Exchange was computerized. He gave priority to remove the specter of recession. Foreign investment in India grew during the first tenure of Dr. Manmohan Singh as finance minister. India could recover the gold mortgage with the Bank of England. The government got the support of the capitalist class as well as the middle class. As the government opened up the telecom sector, mobile phone services started all over the country. Dr. Manmohan Singh signed the agreement with the World Trade Organization and launched the policy of privatization, liberalization, and globalization. World Trade Organization. In 1995, India became a member of the World Trade Organization (WTO). The organization had the following objectives: to be free trade between countries, to put to an end all these discriminatory laws, restrictions, rules, and policies that are hurdles in the way of international free trade, and to regulate global trade with the help of a formal multi party mechanism. General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade GATT existed at the international level before the World Trade Organization came into being. It regulated commerce. In India, there were sorry, in India, there were opposed extreme views about the World Trade Organization. Yet, India decided to take its membership. The provisions of the World Trade Organization are regarding grants, import export, foreign investment, agriculture, technology, and services. The sectors of electricity, water, transportation, education, and health rapidly commercialized since India became a member of the World Trade Organization. As per the various reports of the World Trade Organization, India has made a considerable improvement in different areas like reduction in the below poverty line population, decline in infant mortality, availability of facilities regarding drinking water and wastewater management. India signed the South Asian Preferential Trade Agreement (SAPTA) along the lines of the World Trade Organization. India removed the import restrictions on several commodities for SAARC countries. India also gave discounts on import duties. India opened up the insurance sector to private and foreign investment. In this way, we have learnt about the journey of India's economy. We have come a long way from mixed economy to globalization. In the next chapter, we are going to study India's progress in other fields. So, this is the end of the chapter. Exercises we will do in another.